following animations were provided by John Higton. John served as a National Service radar mechanic at RAF Bempton between 1957 and 1959, working underground in the bunker. This was known as the hole to those that worked there. John returned to Bempton in 2003 and was appalled with the condition the site had been left in. This is what inspired him to create a permanent record of the Bempton he remembers. John describes Bempton as a quiet and efficient part of Britain's radar defence against the Soviet Union. He was shocked to see it vandalised and reduced to a burnt-out shell. While it was in operation, the station was top secret, so there are very few official records. There are only a few aerial photographs, general arrangement drawings and an incomplete set of operational records left relating to the site. John used these remaining records and his site survey as the basis for the following video. A lot of the detailed information came from RAF equipment manuals. In order to create these animations, John had to acquire some computer graphics skills. The result of all this work is a unique record of RAF Bempton during the Second World War and the early years of the Cold War. Since John created this video, the bunker has been completely sealed and is no longer accessible. It is also located on private property.
Now for a tour of the hole as it was in the 1950s. The guard room, one of several rooms in the bungalow, leads to this main stairwell. Everything needed in the bunker, including people, equipment and spares, passes through here. The 300-foot long access tunnel slopes gently into the cliff and ends 36 feet below the level of the guard room floor. The 8-foot square tunnel is made of 18-inch thick reinforced concrete. After the 90-degree bend at the bottom of the tunnel, on the left is the transformer cage, which contains the mains transformer, which provides the 400-volt supply to both the machine and the switch rooms. This small room opposite the transformer cage provides a route to the surface via the foul air and cable ducts for electrical cabling and contaminated air extracted from the bunker. The entrance corridor continues for a further 40 feet to the massive gas-type blast doors. These are designed to protect the bunker from blast and gas attack. The bunker can be completely sealed and continue to operate with the air plant providing safe working conditions. The atmosphere within the tunnel and entrance corridor is quite cool and varies little irrespective of the weather on the surface. But once inside the double doors, air conditioning provides a very comfortable working atmosphere. The main corridor, which runs the length of the bunker, provides access to all operational and service areas. High up on the right of the corridor, this mezzanine area is used for storing technical spares, the head spares at one end and the radar office spares at the other. In the corner, this centrifugal fan removes contaminated air by the foul air duct. This mezzanine area is enclosed in a wire cage. We now continue along the main corridor to the emergency exit. Although intended for emergency use, this route is used by heads personnel as a convenient shortcut to the radar heads. The exit passageway and stairwell doubles as the fresh air inlet for the cooling and air conditioning plant. It provides yet another route to the surface for the many cables connecting the heads to the bunker. There are two cable chambers off the stairwell. These provide access to the network of cable runs linking the aerial heads to the bunker. There are 4 flights of steel stairs leading from the bunker floor to the surface. On the top flight, the large wall-mounted junction box is intended to allow connection of mobile radar heads. These standby heads would be used if the fixed heads were put out of operation by weather or hostile action. The 1950s valve-based equipment generates huge amounts of heat, making apparatus cooling and air conditioning essential. The supply of air enters through the cowl mounted on top of the emergency exit building. It is drawn down the stairwell and into the exit passage. The atmosphere in these two areas varies with the weather and becomes very cold and damp during the winter months. The air plant needs clean, filtered air to operate effectively. This is supplied by the two air and gas filters fitted in the small room off the exit passage. They are powered by two centrifugal fans. The filtered air is supplied to the plant room through the duct which runs vertically from the fans and along the ceiling. The air conditioning plant uses a water-cooled condenser. The heated water is pumped from the condenser and sprayed into the top of this cooling tower, where this large centrifugal fan produces an updraft of cool air. The falling water droplets are cooled and the water returned to the plant room. The heated air is removed through the large ceiling-mounted duct to the warm air duct on the surface. We now return to the main part of the bunker, where the first room on the right of the main corridor is the plant room. This plant room provides the apparatus cooling and air conditioning essential to the effective operation of the bunker. It is the only part of the bunker without a false floor, and is accessed down a flight of steps. The cabinet on the left contains a plant room cooling fan, and on the right is the refrigeration plant, which consists of a pair of twin-cylinder compressors, a water-cooled condenser, various valves, pipework, pumps, and an evaporator which chills water in the large tank in the centre of the room. These centrifugal water pumps distribute the chilled water to the apparatus cooling and air conditioning plant. The room with the blue door is the apparatus air filter room and contains a bank of filters. It is surmounted by the cooling unit and the main fan. This air conditioning unit is floor mounted, with a large main fan mounted on the gallery above. The fans on the gallery circulate the apparatus cooling and conditioned air to all parts of the bunker through this very complex system of ducts. The row of cabinets on the right contain the plant room control equipment. We now cross the main corridor to the machine room. In the machine room are the motor alternators and their starting and control gear, the booster transformers, and the 50 cycle and 500 cycle switchboards. The two motor alternators provide the 500 cycle current at 180 volts to the Type 13 and Type 14 aerial heads. These are the booster transformers and switchgear, and along the wall the switchboards for the 50 cycle and 500 cycle supply. We now go to the switch room, which controls all power supplies both above and below ground. The switch fuse boxes on this side of the room supply power to all heads except the Type 80. At the end are the two English electric air circuit breakers to protect power supplies against overload. This side of the switch room deals with the switching and distribution of general lighting and power supplies to all areas of the bunker. Most of the bunker is filled with radar equipment, but this area is devoted to the needs of the personnel. This is the men's restroom, with a serving hatch to the small kitchen. The kitchen is equipped to provide limited light refreshments such as tea, coffee and biscuits. Meals were not necessary as shift working enabled personnel to eat at the domestic site. This is planned as the women's restroom, although there were no women serving at Bempton during the 1950s. It is larger than the men's, but in addition there is a fairly extensive toilet and washroom. By comparison, the men's toilets are quite small. Kitchens, toilets and washrooms 30 feet below ground present serious waste disposal problems. This is dealt with by a pneumatic system, which consists of an air compressor and receiver, supplying compressed air to power a large pneumatic sewage ejector. In March 1953, Bempton becomes operational as a Rota 1 station. This is the Rota 1 radar office. It receives radar information from the aerial heads and distributes it to the track tailing room and intercept cabin. The rotation of the search heads is controlled from here, and there is a console with a PPI display to monitor head performance. We now move to the hub of the station, the track telling room where operators man the radar screens, tracking and reporting on aircraft and on some occasions ships. There are 6 Type 60A moving coil consoles producing plan position or PPI displays and 3 Type 61 consoles with height range displays. In this view of the consoles in track telling, the main room lighting is on, but when operational the light level in the room is kept low to improve screen visibility. The combined filter plot or CFP room is intended to allow plots reported by a phone line from different radar stations to be combined on the plotting table to give an overall picture of the air situation. It is not clear from the surviving records if the combined filter plot at Bempton was ever used. Bempton's main role is early warning, but it has some interception ability provided by this intercept cabin. For this control activity, the cabin is equipped with 2 Type 60A PPI consoles and a single Type 61 height range console. On the 20th of September 1955, Bempton becomes a Rota 2 station. The new Type 80 head and the Type 64 fixed coil consoles have been installed. The re-equipped Rota 2 radar office has many more rack assemblies to support the new fixed coil technology. All the cabinets have forced air cooling. Air is blown in at the base of the unit and extracted through the trunking at the top. The new radar office monitor console is a Type 64, which is fitted with a visor to make the screen more visible in the room lighting. The many racks filled with valves and electronic components are enclosed, and all look the same, except for this, the waveform monitor. In the new Rota 2 track telling room, the old combined filter plot room has been removed, and the new radar photographic display system, or PDS for short, has been installed in its place. In the track telling room, it is now equipped with 2 Type 61 consoles, 9 Type 64 consoles and the 7-foot square PDS screen. In the darkened room, the glow from the many radar screens provides the main source of illumination. The processing and projection equipment of the PDS is installed beneath the track telling room floor. The PDS process involves photographing a radar screen image onto 35mm black and white film and projecting the resulting picture onto the large horizontal PDS screen. The film is exposed throughout a full revolution of the aerial, processed during the next revolution, and projected during the next. This provides a continuous radar picture with a brief delay. There are dual projectors and supply racks with a mirror to deflect the image from either projector to the underside of the translucent PDS screen. There is a small darkroom to allow unexposed film to be loaded into the light-tight cassettes for use on the projectors. It is also used for storing and handling of photochemicals. In the Rota 2 intercept cabin, the single Type 61 is retained and 2 new Type 64s are installed. Bempton continued the satellite radar station role until January 1961, when for 7 months it took over master radar station duties from RAF Bempton, whilst their Type 80 was re-engineered. Then in December, number 146 signals unit were disbanded